In this video, we're going to talk about how we can save some of these complex objects that we've created to a file and be able to bring them back in again. Okay, so we call this serializing an object. So when we do this, we're going to turn it into a binary form. So far in our work with files, we've been writing to and from regular text files. Okay, so this is going to be a binary file. A binary file has special formatting and it's not really readable by people. It's readable by a computer. Okay. So the basic steps for this, we're going to open a file for binary writing. Okay. Show you how to do that in a second. And then the module to do this is called Pickle. Okay. So we're going to import Pickle first and then use the dump module from Pickle in order to turn this dictionary or set or whatever into something that we can, well, it's going to turn it into and save it to the file. The dump does both things. And you may be thinking, why is it called pickle? Well, what's pickling do? Pickling preserves something. So we're preserving our data structures. It's the basic idea. Okay. So let's look at an example here using a dictionary. First, I'm going to import pickle. Okay. Once I've done that, not pickle tools, just pickle. Okay. And then I'm going to create a simple dictionary. Phone book is equal to, let's just go ahead and this is from the book. We've got Chris is at 555-1111. And we've got 80. Those have to be, since there's a dash in them, in single quotes or in quotes of some sort also. Okay, Katie is at 555-2222. And then finally we have Joni or Joanne. Joni, if you know her well. 555-3333. Okay. If you're ever curious why on television or the movies they always use 555 as the exchange, it's because no place in America has a 555 exchange for whatever reason. Okay. So some useless trivia for you today. So once we have this, okay, we can go ahead and print this out just to make sure that we haven't made any errors there. Okay, so if I run this, make sure I'm running the correct program. Yeah, there it is. Print it out. Looks like it's good. Okay. So now we want to be able to save this in a file. So again, I'm in PyCharm because with files, we don't want to be on Colab. Okay. So I guess I can leave that in there. It doesn't matter. I'm then going to open a file, okay, for binary writing. And with that, we just add a B to it. So instead of W for writing, it's WB. Okay. So whatever you want to call this, F is equal to open. I'm going to call this phonebook.dat. Okay. You don't want to call it .txt. On most systems, it doesn't necessarily matter, but just so other people know that it's not a text file, it's a data file. Okay. And we're going to open it for the mode is going to be WB. Okay. To write binary. Okay. As always, I like to go ahead and close it. Same time, just so I make sure I'm not going to forget to do that. Okay. And then we're going to call from the pickle module the dump command. And if you look here in the help, you're going to dump the object to the file is all you have to have. Okay. So in this case, we're going to dump a phone book to a file F. Okay. So which is the phone book.dat. Okay. Then we can close the file. We should be good. So if I run this, should just be able to click that now. Okay. It prints it. It's finished. Life's good, right? I should be able to see the file listed in my listing over here, phonebook.dat right here. And if you try to open it, you'll find that it doesn't it doesn't really know what to do with it. Okay. In fact, that file is going to be kind of a mess. Okay. It's going to be all kinds of weird characters. I may show one in class tomorrow. There's no quick way to do it here. PyCharm will not bring that in. Okay. But that's all there is to it. Okay. So to reverse this, so now we want to read it into a file again. Okay. Read it into our program. Okay. We're going to use the load command. Okay. So we're just going to kind of reverse the steps, and that we're going to open a file for binary writing this time. Okay. Instead of reading. Okay. That's not what I want. Want that to go back away. How do I do that? There we go. That's how I do it. Okay. So again, we're going to open up the same file, but this time for binary reading, and then we're going to use the load function to retrieve it and then put it back in our file. Okay. Once you've done that, you can close the file and do whatever you would normally do. Okay. So there's nothing particularly strange about it once you've done that. Okay. And luckily, it looks the same way on a binary read as it does on a write, and that you just put a B next to it. Okay. So I can do f.open. Again, it's the phone book.dat. Okay. I want to open it for reading binary. Okay. And I'll do my f.close. Just like that. Okay. And now what this is going to do, this is going to take the object that we've pickled, bring it back to the object, but I'm going to have to save it as something. So the output of this is going to be whatever type object it was, whether it was a dictionary set or whatever. Okay. So I'm going to call it, say, PB for phone book is equal to dump.load F. Okay. Just the file name. That's all we have to do. Okay. Then we should be able to print the PB. Okay. It's not dump, it's pickle. I grabbed the wrong part. Pickle.load. Okay, we dump it to create it. We load it to load it back in. Okay, so if we run this now, we should get 2 identical dictionaries, but it doesn't like something. Oh, it's F equals. Right now. Okay, and we see that we have, so this is the first print, which is from the dictionary we created. We saved it to the file, and this is the second print after we pulled that back. Okay. So, I mean, that's really all we're doing with that. And it's a tool that we have, when we need to store, we've created these complex dictionaries sometimes. Well, I mean, look at the phone book. If you were writing a phone book application, you've created a dictionary. You could somehow try to save it as a comma delimited file, but it would be ugly, right? It's the whole point is that we want to have this structure, the key value pairs. Okay. So pickling allows us to do that. Okay. And there are other examples in the book, but it all comes down really to the same thing. Okay. That you have some object that you're going to try, that you want to save, preserve it, pickle it. Okay. Write it to file, bring it back. Okay. And that's really all there is to it. Okay. So I think the last thing I wanted to talk about today, and we'll talk about it more in class tomorrow, is going to be the data types that we have. And I guess I can just type it down here. Okay. And the question becomes, how do you know which one to use, and when do you use it? Okay. So there's strengths and weaknesses to each one. Okay. So the first one we got, we had strings. We didn't use them as a data structure though. Okay. Not data types, data structures. Sorry. It's early. Okay. The first we had were lists, the first one we used. Okay. And lists are, again, one of the most versatile features. So what we like is that we have random access, which means I can go to any element in the list directly. I can go to the first one, the 100th one, if it has that many. Okay. Which is useful. Let's first categorize this as mutable. We can change it. Okay. Mutable, we have random access to it. We can add new items easily. And there are some built-in functions. Okay. So in general, when you go to reach for a data structure in Python, it's usually going to be the list, right? Remember, we just create a list by putting it in brackets. Okay. So pretty straightforward. And like in most all of our data structures, other things we can do a for loop to iterate. We can do the in and the not in. Okay. And we have our len function. Okay. That's for all the data structures pretty much. Okay. So after list, we have the very similar tuple. Okay. And it's immutable. Okay. It has all of the other features of a list that don't involve changing individual elements of the list. Okay. So again, we would create a tuple like that with parentheses instead of square brackets. Okay. So it does everything a list does, except I can't do something like t bracket 2 is equal to 5. Okay. Can't do that. That's illegal. Okay. So I can't change it. Again, I can say t is equal to something else. That's fine. Okay. I can reassign it, the variable, but I can't change independent or individual elements. That's immutability comes in. Okay. So you use the tuple when, for whatever reason, you don't want the data to change, which comes up more often than you'd think. Okay. It seems weird that you would take away features, but that's why we're doing that. Okay. We then went to strings, and strings, they're useful because we often have data in string form. Okay, so they're useful when reading in a file, and just lots of times. Okay, and when dealing with text in general. Okay, strings are immutable as well. Okay, um, there are lots of string functions built in. So when you're dealing with text, which we're often doing in programs, we have the ability to search, to do very specific things with like case, uppercase, lowercase. We can take a big string and break it into pieces. We can strip out characters, all of that stuff. Okay, so there's lots of things. The string handling is very important. Strings are an important part of any language. Okay, so strings are the only thing that are both a data type and a data structure. Okay, then we've got the dictionaries. Okay, those are mutable. And the idea basically there is key value pairs. Okay. So I've mentioned before, these are also called maps in C++, or more generally associative arrays. Okay. So dictionaries are very special purpose. Dictionaries, you can't say dictionary bracket 1. Okay. So a dictionary is going to be, again, some key going to some value. Okay. And then the last one we talked about are sets. And for sets, you cannot access individually. Okay. They're unordered. Although dictionaries are kind of unordered too. They're unordered, and they have only unique elements. And that's really the big thing for sets. Okay. The unique word program that we did, that's why we did it, because if you put it into a set, you can put 10 of the same item into the set. Doesn't give you an error, but only really puts one there. Okay. And then we create a set with the set command. Put a list in there if we wanted. that would be fine. Okay. So otherwise, the list has, I mean, it can iterate with the for. We can use the in, not in. You can use a length, all those things. You can add to it, you can delete from it. Not any big issue there. Okay. So most of the programs in here have been, here's a program in the chapter on lists. What are we going to use for a data structure? We're going to use lists. Okay. But as you move into the broader world of programming, we've already seen it. We've seen lists be useful in nearly every program that we do. We often convert things to list to be able to do different things with them. Okay, so the lists are pretty useful everywhere. But if you're just given a program apart from any particular chapter, then you have to know how to pick the right one. Okay. So I'm thinking that the next thing we're going to be working on, the next chapter we'll cover is going to be on classes and object-oriented programming. And I think rather than go there directly, I think next week, at least on Monday and Tuesday, and maybe on Wednesday as well, I want us to work on a little bit bigger program. It'll be a multi-day program that's not tied to any particular set of language structures. Okay, so I think that's where we're headed. So there'll be more about that on Monday. But for now, the big thing today was the pickling. We'll cover that in class. We'll do an example with that. And then just to be thinking about the data structures and when you would use each one. Okay. So that's all I've got. If you have questions, make sure you let me know.